You're listening to Rise of the Independents, the podcast dedicated to agencies, their clients, campaigns, and partners on the rise. ROTI is presented by MiO Marketplace, a sales enabling tool to help agencies and their teams find, keep, and grow their business. And now here's your host, Sean Halter.
We're excited to have as our guest today, Ruth Mortimer, Global President at Advertising Week, and Stacy Huston, Executive Director at 6 Degrees. Thank you guys both so much for joining us.
Thank you. Good to be here, Sean.
Ruth, we're going to start with you. We just started before we said we were hitting record. In the background, you've got a punching bag. And so, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see it. If you're listening, on the podcast, we want you to know it. Are you getting yourself in shape for Advertising Week? What is going on over there? Are we ready?
I mean, you could say it's getting yourself in shape. It might be getting out some frustrations. I did once do a bodyguarding course, so I'm ready to join the security team. But yeah, we're really, every way we can gear up possible, I'm doing it.
This podcast will air Monday morning, just as everybody is kind of arriving and heading into Advertising Week. And so we're excited to be back. This will be our third year in a row. We appreciate the opportunity to not only come out and see so many of the speakers, but also to get a chance to produce a lot of content out there on site as well. So I would be remiss if I didn't thank you first for that, Ruth. And let's talk about it. It's Monday morning. What are people going to expect? What should they see? What should they make sure they make time for? Where are you going to be spending your time other than running around the center?
You know what? I think there's a few really interesting things this year that I hope people are going to notice and find interesting. And Stacy's doing something very particular on Monday that she can talk to you about. But I think some of the things we're leaning into on Monday and throughout the week are really a big focus on the creator economy. We've seen so many more creators coming to Advertising Week, not just to talk on the stages, but actually to do business with brands and agencies, because they're realizing actually if they need to build their own businesses as media outlets, they need to be in these spaces. So I think that's one thing you'll really, really notice throughout the whole week. And then I think a huge focus on sports is another one. And another big area is investment. So we're doing a lot this year around what to invest in, what to put your money in, what to buy and sell in the industry. So we think kind of everything that keeps the industry ticking over, going, and growing each year.
Stacy, you're speaking on Monday. Talk to us a little bit about what you're going to be talking about.
I'm excited. I get to close out Monday with Kevin Bacon. He's the founder of 6degrees.org, which is the organization that I lead. And we had this incredible opportunity to launch something called Purpose Produced alongside Advertising Week earlier this year, where we found 6 incredible nonprofits that are based here in the United States doing great work at the really local level, think very, very grassroots. And then Advertising Week used their incredible network to pair them with 6 top-tier advertising agencies. And so they've been busy at work over the last several months building full 360 campaigns for these organizations. And when I tell you that they are mind-blowing, they're mind-blowing. So we get to talk about that on Monday, just the power of that collaboration, the excitement around it, how it's really going to be transformational for these organizations, but also what the agencies have really gotten out of it. Many of them are talking about, we want to continue to keep working and supporting these organizations. So we're just really, really excited. And then following that, we're going to be going to the Scale Up Lounge, and you'll get to hear from each of those agencies and those nonprofits in these like speed rounds where they're going to talk for about 5 to 7 minutes about their specific campaigns. So really up close and personal.
Ruth, this is the tentpole event for our industry, and it'd be easy to just do the same thing every year. Everybody comes, you have to go. That's where everybody networks. And yet you guys are always introducing interesting things like this, and of course, if you haven't met Stacy, if you're coming to the event, now you're almost first degree, at least your second degree.
Absolutely.
So how many people are we expecting in attendance this year, Ruth, in kind of a general roundish number?
So I think we're expecting around 20,000. So there were around 17,000 last year. We have lots of new audience we know around creators and sports and in fact in nonprofits. So yeah, I think actually it's the biggest event of its type in the world in one place. So we're really excited. But like you said, I think also for us, it's really important to take part in the industry. So you said, like, why do we need to keep kind of evolving and changing? Because I think what we do keeps evolving and changing. And either you can just reflect it, but I think that's kind of limited. We want to be part of it and help it grow and change and develop too.
This next question is called Hey, That's Me. You get a chance to talk a little bit more about yourself. Stacy Huston. Huston with no O, by the way. So if you're looking for her on LinkedIn, now you'll know. Talk a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Yeah, I have been in the social impact space for the last decade, but before I was in sales and business development. So really new market strategies, launching new products. And then I had that kind of what I call come to Jesus moment where I wanted to just kind of lean in and give back in a greater way, and had this opportunity, met Kevin and joined 6 Degrees really as a party of one for the first several years. What I do is help nonprofits. We're a nonprofit for nonprofits, but we really focus on marketing and storytelling, because what I've come to see that is really the gap in the industry is that nonprofits are doing this incredible work and they almost wear it as a badge of honor, keep our head down, just keep pouring into the programs, helping people. But no one's going to know that they're there if they don't get the marketing support that they need, and they don't have access to these experts and strategists and all of these creatives. And so my last year at Advertising Week was my first time there, and I just said, man, if my people could have access to the little bit of genius that is happening in these rooms, then it would be game changing. And so that's what I do. I'm kind of leveraging our platform to connect these organizations with corporate partners, creatives, to really do something new.
We forget sometimes we're that gas in this industry. As marketers, we're those people that, when we're not thinking of our day-to-day, I've got to turn this form in, where's my team, how many Zoom calls do I have? We can be that change agent that really can take an idea and create something out of it. It's really incredible to kind of see Kevin lean into just that. This was a thought. I don't even remember who came up with it, but it was just there. And then we were all playing that game. That's how old I am. And
1991, Albright College.
There you go. So for somebody like him to not only take that as, something humorous and interesting, but to really lean into it, to build something from it, and then to see an organization like Advertising Week, pour some pepper and some gas on it. It's going to be really fun to continue to see. Ruth, I know you a little bit, but some of our listeners may not know you as well. So talk to everybody a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Okay, great. I'm Ruth. I'm Advertising Week's global president. That means I have to run it, and also a couple of other businesses. We've actually got, this time, a kind of new group of businesses. We've got one called Prosper, which is all around the big online marketplaces and e-commerce, and one called B2BMX, which is kind of really in-depth event based in the sort of B2B business to business space. And my background, I started out as an archaeologist. So not remotely in the same thing, although I've always been really kind of curious and into things. So I think this is the kind of joining thread. I just really nosy. I'm like, oh, how can I find out about that? And then I was a journalist for many years, and I loved storytelling and creating great ideas. And then I discovered I didn't really mind what format I made them in. Like, I ended up making everything from documentaries to data products to events. And I was like, I don't really mind as long as you can tell a great story. And so I think for me, getting to know me, probably those two things are the key things. One, I love stories. And two, I am the most curious person you'll ever meet. I've probably got a third phase as a private detective.
You're one of the kindest people too. When I see you at Advertising Week, of course, everybody's pulling you in a direction because you need to go somewhere. I'd never see you with a handler. Is this going to be the year where you have a handler minding you around? You're always so nice. You're always so polite. What are you looking forward to this year, other than maybe a cocktail on Thursday night? What do you feel like kind of you is going to be something, again, maybe unexpected that you're kind of looking forward to this year?
Well, I think actually you just pointed to it. Where I get all my excitement and energy is seeing people get something valuable out of what we do. And it's understanding. To hear that Stacy came last year and found it valuable and thought she could do something with it, or you would feel it was valuable. That's everything you've put your work in for the last years. I mean, the idea, one, I don't think a handler could control me. I did the bodyguarding course. I'm fine. But second, I just want to meet everybody. So I think, what will I be doing this year? I'll be trying to understand what people's big problems are we could solve next year.
Stacy, you said you were there last year as an attendee. This year, you're a speaker. And so from your perspective, obviously, you've got to dedicate some time this year to being on stage, to having this conversation about this great brand that you work with. Is there anything else that you're kind of looking forward to doing? Are you going to be able to get a chance to be able to kind of walk back around the conference this year? And what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I'm going to be fully immersive. I'm spending the whole week there, diving in and bringing my whole team up. Not only are the 6 nonprofits that we have partnered with going to be there, but their teams, and then the top 20 that kind of were part of this People's Choice Award, they've also been extended tickets by Advertising Week. Just huge generosity. So my goal is to do much of what Ruth is talking about in my space, which is getting in front of our folks and saying, who do you want to meet? Who do you want to connect with? Like, we put together a guide for them of a lot of different types of seminars and workshops and different stages that they should try to access. We have a couple really exciting other moments for them that are planned. So I'm really excited. I'm also excited to see the AI roast. It's at Thursday. It's always good to cap off with a little bit of comedy.
Talk about the award selection piece as well. Can you dig back into that a little bit? How did you guys select the agencies for that? And is this something that you think you'll do again next year, potentially? Ruth, let me start with you on that, and then I'll head over to you, Stacy.
Well, I can talk about how we selected the agencies. So really, we were looking for people who had kind of common interests and sort of were well positioned to work with the different nonprofits. So whether that was physical, like those guys could actually get together and meet each other, because that still matters, or they'd done work in that space. We were really looking for, I guess, the best match that meant that chemistry would work. Because Sean, that part of the magic between an agency and a client is that chemistry and how you feel, where you feel the agency is actually an extension of our team. They get us. So I think that was the key thing we were really looking for. And maybe you can say more, Stacy.
Stacy?
Yeah, I think that we also were looking for agencies that would say yes, and because we were really flying the plane and building at the same time, right? Each of these advertising campaigns are looking totally different. They said yes to really going into the strategy sessions, discovery sessions, and saying, what do you need? What's the goal here? How can we get people to swivel their neck? And so we have some agencies that are doing really immersive things with the organizations, activations in person, others that are launching a car. Like, and I won't say who's doing what, but it is really, really massive. And so ones that knew that this is going to be a big ask, but they were interested in leveraging their teams, their partners, other agencies that are friends of theirs to really jump in and make this thing very special.
It's one of those lean in moments as you're talking about it. That's what you want at an event. You want those things where people go, did you see this? Or did you hear about this? And if you didn't see it this year, you've got to catch it next year. And the more and more you're kind of talking about it, the more and more it's almost like, not why didn't we do this before, but man, this is so interesting and perfect. And again, helps separate things from, every other event that's potentially out there, many of, which are great for the industry, but it is nice to have some of these kind of really interesting, almost tentpole elements at the event. Let's talk a tiny bit more, of course, about the fact that Advertising Week has also become a chance for companies to regather their people. Since COVID, since this work from home element, since these, times and places where you don't necessarily just get on a plane and fly to go see a potential client all the time, you use this kind of event for that. Ruth, talk maybe a little bit about the spaces that you've got within the venue this year, and how do people better interact with potential prospects and clients on site from your perspective?
What you see is that people are really keen to come meet each other and network. One thing we've done different this year as well is we have a platinum pass, which is for people who specifically want to be able to book meetings and have a private meeting table they can use anytime. And the reason we ended up introducing that was because people were like, I'm coming here, I need to do business. I need to get the most out of it. Because like you say, this is the week I left my couch. I've got to get everything. So I'd also say the other thing you're seeing is more and more lounges. We used to have a much more traditional setup with stages. Now we have stages that also have a lounge element to them. Lots more interactivity, lots more people getting involved. We definitely see that people, if they're going to give their time to an event, they really want to get more out of it. They want to interact. They don't want it to be a passive experience. So I think what you're going to see on site is lots of interactive moments, both through the activations, the lounges, and hopefully also on stages. And Stacy mentioned a really good one, which is the AI roast, which closes out Thursday. Again, you could do a talk about AI, you could do a comedian being interviewed, but instead we went, what if you had comedians facing off against AI? Can AI really be funny? What's terrible, Sean, is AI probably will be funny, and then we'll all just be like, oh, I knew it. Damn. And we have hot ones live on stage as well, where we'll be getting people from the industry. So I think we're trying always to walk that line between entertaining people and actually educating them so they leave with something tangible.
I can't remember his name. He's on my TikTok. I think he's British. And he's always got this, I feel like you may have commented on him the other day. He was there last year, Ruth. I cannot remember his name now.
Rob Mayhew.
That's him. Yeah. Last year.
He's funny.
Yeah.
He's very funny. So guys, if you haven't checked him out, Rob Mayhew, he is British. He's based in New York, and he is he's one of the world's biggest business TikTokers.
Yeah.
He's big on LinkedIn.
Yeah, he worked in a lot of agencies, and he does devastatingly accurate TikToks about what it's like working in our industry. So do check him out. But yes, as you said, Sean, last year he came and made a mockumentary, a little bit like This Is Spinal Tap, but more commercial. And again, things like that, he came to us and said, I'd love to do something fun. Let's create a mockumentary. And we were like, yeah, this is great, because when people want to use your event as culture, that makes you feel like you've really made it.
He'll also humble the hell out of you in a way, because you're watching like, oh, wait, no, that's me. Oh, no. So, and we need that from time to time. We need to be humbled.
Brilliant. Yeah, this was so good. And then you're like, oh no, you're right. It's funny.
We in the industry, sometimes we get to work with various celebrities, the Kevin Bacons of the world, but we can become homers sometimes when we're at one of these events. I don't remember if it was last year that the Shark Tank people were there, if it was the year before, but it's like, oh, Shark Tank's here. And then everybody packs in to see them. So Stacy, you've been there. Have you given Kevin some indication as to what he might need to expect, even though this is a business event? There'll probably be some people packing in to see him along the way. He needs an autograph pen, maybe.
He's prepared, and obviously he's done this circuit, but it's different. I think one of my favorites from last year was Terry Crews, and I think we'll be in the same room on the main stage, but just being able to talk about your art, your craft, but also the importance of why you're doing these types of initiatives and partnerships. I'm excited that Kevin gets to talk about kind of the social impact piece. That's important to him. And if you follow him, then you know it is. So often he's talking about his film, his music. And so this is really a chance for him to be around other creatives that are also kind of leaning into this giving back portion. So he's excited to just be there and kind of see it all come together. And he's a New Yorker, so it's really nice and easy and convenient for him as well.
Same thing. I feel like I've seen some of his TikToks with he and his wife on the subway. I never get to run into them, but we'll see what happens. We'll see how he makes his way to the event. Parties are always a big thing. It seems like you end up having 10 weddings all during the week. Everybody's like, you should stop over here or stop over there. It's been interesting to see over the years that expansion to some extent. So Ruth, how do you pick when it's 4:30 or 5 o'clock? Do you check out for the night? Do you still try to make your way around to a couple of these events? What are the ones that, are the hard to get into ones that we need to figure out who's got a pass to get us into it?
I'm never checking out. I'm there for the long haul. I'll be Kevin's bodyguard if he needs a bodyguard. I'll be there to the bitter end for every event. It's really hard, actually. I think there's so many great events that we have during the week. One new one that we have this year I'm quite excited about is on Wednesday night. We're doing a sports awards at the New York Stock Exchange with Fanatics. And to me, this is a really interesting kind of, hot new ticket for this year, because it's very much about the business of sports and brands working together. So the awards are very much around people who are kind of building the business of sports. And I think especially with much more focus than we would have ever had before on women's sports. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a definite good one.
It's crazy how, the calendar ticks a year, and yet so much in this industry has changed. I don't even think AI was on the stage 2 years ago. And yet, again, it's obviously such a topic of conversation, almost an over topic, to the point of like, okay, well, let's use it in an interesting way. Let's do something funny, literally funny, and see what comes of it. What's next? Is it sports? Is it programming? Is it social? Where should we be thinking this is sitting in on this session this year that I wasn't even thinking of, and yet that's going to be a cornerstone for next year? Let me ask you that question first, Ruth, and then I'm going to take a pivot on that a little bit for you, Stacy.
I think in the creator space, I think creators are going to become even more mainstream entertainment and creative agency. We talked about Kevin having his creative endeavors. One person we've worked with this year as well is Hit Boy. He produces Beyonce, among other people. He's a great creative, a little like Kevin in film, in music, but he's also a creative in other areas. He's actually really interested in his other creative endeavors. And I think that's going to be more and more of a thing. I think we're going to see more creator-led IP being bought up by creators. You know, creators are the celebrities of our age. So I think that is going to be something we keep seeing playing out.
Stacy, from my side, my question to you would be this. There's obviously going to be 17, 20,000 people at this event, many of whom will either get a chance to hear about what you guys are doing or get a chance to see it, a glimpse of it along the way, and may want to participate more either directly with what you guys are doing or just in the space itself. And so if you're there, if you're an agency, if you're an independent agency, if you're one of the larger ones, if you're a marketer, how do you go about the action of just that, the action of finally jumping in and kind of participating in what's happening out there in the nonprofit space?
Well, we are actually having a really strong initiative towards how do we help more companies leverage their creative and their workforce to do this type of work. It doesn't have to be as big as these 360 advertising campaigns. It could be as simple as website development, rebranding, giving them a toolkit, right? It could be just some strategy around campaign curation. We're meeting with people. We've been actually using the matchmaking feature. That's something that Advertising Week, a tool on their app that has been incredible with setting meetings there. But we also, people can text mission to 33777, and we are going to be connecting with people afterwards, sending them kind of follow up on, hey, let's sit down, let's have a conversation. What does this look like for your teams? And one of the key pieces that we're really talking about is it's really important that you are matched with an organization that speaks to the culture of what you care about, what your teams care about. And that is a make or break and really getting everything out of it for both parties, right? There's the retention, the attraction, the innovation, everything that they're doing on the creative side. It's only amplified when they're really bought into the mission. And so a team like ours is really thinking about, what are those key pillars that are really core? What are your strengths as an agency? What are your strengths as a marketer? And is this the right fit, right, for where this organization is in the moment and what they need so that we can really see those partnerships thrive and then they want to come back and do it again.
Ruth, I don't mean to announce another wedding for you, but this event is here and it will be over soon. And then it's on to the next thing. We often think just in terms of New York because we're selfish that way. But what's next for you guys with Advertising Week? You guys do obviously the event in Europe and you have really programming almost year round at this point. And so what's next after this?
Okay, so almost immediately after this, Sean, which is terrifying, we instantly become Spanish speaking and move to Mexico. So we have Advertising Week LATAM in Mexico City, and that's a pretty big one. It normally has around 10,000 people, super creative, very interesting. Then we move to Tokyo in early December, then back to Europe in March next year. So yeah, it's a pretty kind of intense calendar.
How do you navigate that with your family? Stacy, I'll start with you first. Here you are traveling a little bit here and there, and obviously you're doing that. How do you balance this family life, whether you're a husband or a wife or you've got kids or not? Yeah. We're back on the road, right? We're back in the skies. And so how are you finding your balance somewhere between the two?
I have a 3 and 5-year-old. And so it's hard. And I think balance is a kind of a false term here. I think you have to go all in when you're going all in, and then you have to be really present when you can be present. And so for me, this is like a sprint towards Advertising Week and the week after, really getting all of these campaigns ready to launch, because every couple of weeks we're going to be launching one of these campaigns. But I'm taking 2 weeks. I'm taking 2 weeks off and being really, really present, kind of refilling my cup, so then I can pour back into this work. And so, yeah, I stay away from balance, and it's just like what I can focus on in the moment. So that feels like it's my total focus and attention. And that's how I go about it.
You used a nice term, which is this kind of cup analogy. And so again, sometimes it is that. You're right. It's not necessarily a balance. It's most likely unbalanced.
Yeah.
And so it's navigating those pieces, allowing your family to realize, this is the industry we're in, and travel is part of that. And that also is what replenishes your cup. For many people, coming to Advertising Week is just that. It's a replenishing of your cup with both opportunities, with re-meeting with people that you know and you love in this industry, and making new relationships that maybe you've never made before. How about Ruth, on your side? How are you replenishing your cup post these events?
I don't know. I'm available to receive spa vouchers, offers of, almost anything. No, look, I also don't really believe in balance. I think I'm not very good at balance. I'm very much an all-in person, but I also think my family get to see who I really am. I'm really proud. I've got 2 sons. I'm really proud that they see how hard I work and what I care about. And I'm glad they see me as a person myself, rather than just a service kind of to them, which a lot of the time, frankly, Sean, I am. I'm there servicing them with socks and sandwiches pretty regularly. And I'm glad they know there's more to me than that.
Socks and sandwiches. I like that. This question is called Key to My Heart. You could invite anyone, alive or not, to keynote a marketing event you're putting on. Who would it be and why? Let me preface this by saying we added this question this year to the podcast. Ruth, you're kind of doing this on a regular basis. So perhaps it's either slightly unfair, or I'll pivot slightly to say you'd have to pick somebody who's no longer maybe with us, somebody historical back in time, or somebody that you just know, gosh, I'd love to have this person. I know it'd be almost impossible. Who would you pick?
Okay, I've got 3 for potentially not, they're all alive and dead, for a not totally obvious panel. So I think I'd go for, in the alive camp, I'd have Beyonce, because I think she is someone who manages her brand in a very, very interesting way, which is quite different from many people you see kind of in the modern world. So I'd be very interested to hear why and why that matters to her. And she has also kindly submitted people before for the Future is Female Award, which Stacy is actually shortlisted for this year. So Beyonce, if you're listening, please come. And 2 other people I'd be really interested in. One, I think I'd be really interested in Agatha Christie, because she was one of the great storytellers of the time. But she was married to an archaeologist and spent her time doing this slightly mad kind of thing, ranging around the Middle East on mad archaeological digs and restoring pots in different places. So I think I'd throw her in. And then probably I'd be really interested in someone like a great historical figure, maybe a sort of Nelson Mandela, someone who had embraced forgiveness, which I think must be the most difficult of all human sort of emotions, to forgive people who have wronged you. I don't think I'm that good. I'd love to know how.
I feel like my sister seems to be more forgiving than I am, but that's a great point. Stacy, now you get to follow that.
That's hard. Okay, so I would have said, so I'm gonna do 3 too. So I would have said Gary Vee, but someone said that like a week ago, because I'm obsessed with everything he does, how he delivers information concisely, passionately. I think a lot of people can learn a ton from him, and in short form content. He's a whiz. For someone alive, this guy, Ryan Leake, he is a New York Times bestselling author, kind of like a speakerpreneur. He is just fantastic. He has his book is How to Work with Complicated People, I think. But everything that he talks about is really about like the human connection. So whether we're talking about AI or marketing or how we show up every day, it's how to stay present. And it's just inspiring. And sometimes you just need someone that's inspiring because everything's just so heavy. I probably listen to something that he does every day. And then in terms of like big brand people, is it Daniel Lubetzky, the Kind Bar founder? He just started another organization called the Builders Movement. And he is so passionate about how do we bridge divide and how do we show up bringing people kind of from both sides, so to speak, back to the table together and really see change. And I think that that's key for marketing as well, right? More and more consumers want to see the things that they support stand up for something, hold their same values. And so how do you do that? How do you do that without cannibalizing half of your audience? So I think he would be a fantastic keynote as well.
Some great keynotes. I'd love to see Jay Shetty. I feel like he's on my stuff all the time, a little bit as well. Well, listen, we are at the end of this episode. On behalf of Ruth Mortimer, Stacy Huston with no O, we hope you guys all got a chance to catch Advertising Week this week. We appreciate all of you for listening to this podcast, and we thank both of you for joining us today as well. Thank you guys both so much.
Thanks for listening to Rise of the Independents, hosted by Sean Halter and presented by MiO Marketplace. MiO, the marketer's matchmaker. Find out more about them by visiting miomarketplace.com today.